There is a quiet strength in a woman who chooses to stand alone, not because she isn't desired, but because she refuses to settle for anything less than what she deserves. Living without a boyfriend is not loneliness. It is clarity, it is power, it is self-respect in its purest form. Let's talk about what it truly means. She understands that attention is everywhere, but respect is rare and earned. Many people will offer compliments, temporary affection, and sweet words, but she has learned that these things often come without depth or intention. She no longer confuses someone's interest with genuine care. Instead of being flattered by constant messages or empty promises, she pays attention to actions, consistency, and how she is truly treated when no one is watching. She values how someone speaks to her, how they show up for her, and whether they honor her boundaries. She has reached a point where she refuses to chase validation. She does not measure her worth by how many people desire her or how much attention she receives. She knows that needing constant reassurance can lead to accepting less than she deserves. So she chooses to validate herself, to remind herself of her own value without depending on someone else to confirm it. This mindset gives her a quiet confidence that cannot be shaken by rejection or neglect. She also recognizes the difference between being wanted and being valued. Being wanted can be temporary, driven by convenience or attraction, but being valued means being respected, appreciated, and treated with care. She refuses to entertain connections where she feels like an option instead of a priority. She would rather walk away from something uncertain than stay in a situation that slowly erodes her self-worth. There was a time when she might have tolerated inconsistency, mixed signals, or emotional unavailability, hoping things would change. But experience has taught her that patterns rarely shift without real effort, and she refuses to invest her time where there is no clarity. She chooses to protect her energy instead of wasting it on people who are unsure about her. She sets standards not to push people away, but to ensure that anyone who comes into her life understands her worth. These standards are not unrealistic. They are simply rooted in self-respect. She expects honesty, consistency, and mutual effort because she offers the same in return. By choosing respect over attention, she creates a life where she is not easily swayed by temporary emotions or external validation, but grounded in her own sense of value and dignity. She has learned that her time and energy are her most valuable assets, and she no longer wastes them on relationships that drain her without giving anything meaningful in return. Instead of investing in people who bring confusion or inconsistency, she chooses to invest in herself, her growth, her ambitions, and her future. She understands that every moment spent improving her life is a step toward becoming the best version of herself. She focuses on building her skills, expanding her knowledge, and creating opportunities that align with her goals. While others may prioritize temporary connections, she is focused on long-term success and personal fulfillment. She sets clear goals and works toward them with discipline, knowing that independence is built through consistent effort. Whether it's advancing her career, starting a business, or improving her mental and physical well-being, she treats her life like a priority. She also invests deeply in her inner world. She takes the time to understand herself, her emotions, her triggers, her strengths, and her weaknesses. Instead of ignoring her struggles, she faces them, learns from them, and grows stronger because of them. This self-awareness allows her to make better decisions and avoid situations that no longer serve her. She creates a life that feels full on its own. She explores her passions, spends time doing things that bring her genuine joy, and surrounds herself with people who uplift and inspire her. She doesn't wait for someone else to make her life exciting or meaningful. She takes responsibility for her own happiness. This independence gives her a sense of freedom that cannot be taken away. She understands that when she invests in herself, she raises her standards naturally. She becomes more selective about who she allows into her life because she knows the value of what she has built. She no longer feels the need to settle for less because she has already created something meaningful on her own. Her growth becomes her focus, her peace becomes her priority, and her future becomes her responsibility. Every effort she makes is a reflection of how much she values herself, and through that investment, she builds a life that doesn't depend on anyone else to feel complete. She has learned how to stand on her own emotionally, without depending on someone else to stabilize her feelings or define her happiness. She no longer looks for someone to rescue her from difficult moments or fill the emptiness inside her. Instead, she has taken the time to understand her emotions, to sit with them, and to process them in a healthy way. She knows that feelings come and go, and she refuses to let temporary emotions control her decisions. There was a time when she might have relied on constant communication or reassurance to feel secure, but now she understands that true security comes from within. She has built a strong sense of self that does not easily break under pressure or rejection. When things go wrong, she doesn't collapse or lose herself. She reflects, learns, and moves forward with more clarity. This emotional strength allows her to remain grounded even when life becomes uncertain. She is comfortable being alone with her thoughts. Silence no longer scares her, and solitude is no longer something she tries to escape. Instead of seeking distractions, she uses her alone time to recharge, to think deeply, and to reconnect with herself. This ability to be at peace in her own company gives her a level of confidence that many people struggle to achieve. She also knows how to regulate her reactions. She doesn't allow anger, sadness, or frustration to control how she behaves. She takes a step back, evaluates the situation, and chooses her response with intention. This level of control protects her from unnecessary drama and helps her maintain her dignity in challenging situations. She understands that relying on others for emotional stability can lead to disappointment, especially when people fail to meet expectations. That's why she has become her own source of comfort and strength. She encourages herself, supports herself, and reminds herself of her worth even when no one else does. This independence frees her from emotional dependence and allows her to build connections from a place of strength rather than need. By mastering her emotions, she creates a life where her happiness is not controlled by external factors, but guided by her own inner stability and resilience. She has reached a point where she no longer negotiates her worth or compromises her values just to keep someone in her life. She understands that settling is not about choosing less because nothing better exists, but about accepting less than she deserves out of fear, loneliness, or impatience. She refuses to make decisions driven by those emotions. Instead, she chooses clarity, even if that means walking away from something that once felt promising. She pays attention to patterns rather than promises. Words can be convincing, but actions reveal the truth. If someone is inconsistent, emotionally unavailable, or unsure about her, she does not try to convince them otherwise. She knows that genuine interest does not need to be forced or questioned. When something feels confusing or unstable, she takes it as a sign rather than ignoring it. This awareness protects her from getting stuck in situations that slowly drain her confidence and self-worth. She no longer entertains half-effort connections. She understands that love, respect, and commitment should be mutual, not one-sided. If she finds herself giving more than she receives, she does not try to overcompensate or prove her value. She steps back and reassesses the situation. She knows that the right connection will not require her to constantly question where she stands. She also refuses to romanticize potential. She does not hold on to what someone could become while ignoring who they are in the present. She has learned that waiting for someone to change often leads to disappointment. Instead, she accepts reality for what it is and makes decisions based on what she sees, not what she hopes for. This mindset keeps her grounded and prevents her from wasting time on illusions. She sets clear boundaries and stands by them, even when it is uncomfortable. She understands that boundaries are not about pushing people away, but about protecting her peace and self-respect. If someone crosses those boundaries repeatedly, she does not hesitate to distance herself. She values her well-being more than temporary attachment. Her standards are not unrealistic. They are simply aligned with how she chooses to live her life. She expects honesty, consistency, and effort because she offers the same. By refusing to settle, she creates space for something genuine, something stable, and something that truly matches her level of self-respect and awareness. She has come to understand that peace is not something you find by accident. It is something you protect with intention. She no longer entertains chaos, confusion, or emotional instability just to keep someone close. Where there is constant stress, overthinking, or emotional exhaustion, she recognizes that something is wrong. Instead of trying to fix it or tolerate it, she chooses to step away. She values calmness over excitement that comes with uncertainty and stability over temporary emotional highs. She has learned that not every connection is worth maintaining. Some people bring noise into her life, drama, negativity, or unnecessary conflict. She no longer feels obligated to engage with that energy. She chooses distance over disruption, silence over arguments, and clarity over confusion. Protecting her peace sometimes means letting go of people she once cared about, and she has accepted that as a necessary part of growth. She pays attention to how she feels around others. If someone consistently makes her feel anxious, drained, or insecure, she doesn't ignore those signals anymore. She trusts her intuition and takes it seriously. Her emotional well-being is not something she is willing to sacrifice for the sake of companionship. She understands that the wrong presence can disturb her inner balance more than solitude ever could. She has also learned the power of saying no without guilt. She does not overextend herself trying to please everyone or maintain relationships that no longer align with her values. She respects her own limits and honors them. This ability to set boundaries allows her to maintain control over her time, energy, and mental state. She creates an environment that supports her peace. Whether it's her daily routine, the people she surrounds herself with, or the choices she makes, everything is aligned with protecting her inner calm. She avoids situations that trigger unnecessary stress and chooses activities that bring her clarity and comfort. She understands that peace is not weakness, it is strength. It takes discipline to walk away from what disturbs you and courage to choose yourself consistently. By protecting her peace, she builds a life that feels stable, grounded, and free from the emotional chaos that once held her back. She understands that choosing to live alone is not a rejection of love, but a preparation for the kind of love that truly aligns with her values. She is not closing her heart, she is refining it. She takes this time to understand what she truly needs in a partner, not based on fantasy or pressure, but based on experience, self-awareness, and growth. She no longer looks for someone to fill a void because she has already done the work to become whole on her own. She becomes intentional about the kind of relationship she is willing to accept. She reflects on past patterns, recognizes what didn't work, and makes conscious decisions to avoid repeating the same mistakes. This clarity allows her to raise her standards not out of ego, but out of self-respect. She knows that the right connection will feel different, more stable, more honest, and more secure. She focuses on becoming the kind of partner she would want to attract. She develops emotional maturity, communication skills, patience, and understanding. Instead of expecting perfection from someone else, she works on becoming a better version of herself. This growth ensures that when the right person enters her life, she is ready to build something meaningful rather than something temporary. She is no longer impressed by surface-level charm or empty promises. She looks for depth, consistency, and genuine intention. She pays attention to how someone handles challenges, how they communicate, and how they treat her over time. She understands that real love is not about constant excitement, but about trust, effort, and mutual respect. She is patient with the process. She does not rush into relationships out of fear of being alone or missing out. She trusts that the right connection will come at the right time, and until then, she continues to build a life she is proud of. This patience protects her from settling and allows her to wait for something that truly meets her standards. She knows that when the right person finally comes into her life, it will not feel like something she desperately needed, but something that naturally fits. It will not disturb her peace or distract her from her purpose, but complement the life she has already created through her strength, independence, and self-awareness.